Hello, everyone. This is the OGGG here, and it's time for the long-awaited part 3 of the alternative podcast on loneliness. Last time, in part 2, we talked about some strategies for overcoming expectations in order to feel better about yourself, not just while you're alone by yourself, but in general. One of the mantras I use to help me overcome expectations in any given moment is I am me. Yes, I'm very clearly Black. I'm a woman. I'm bisexual. I am a gamer. Nope. I am me. And why is this so powerful for overcoming expectations in that moment? It's because when we identify ourselves by our skin pigment, our sex, our sexual orientation, a religion, or tribe, not only does that impact our lives, but the impact is because there are stereotypes attached to all of those identities, all of them. And in order to, we can't just be Black or be straight or be white or be Christian. No, there are many stereotypes and expectations attached to each and every single one of those identities. And by identifying yourself as that, which we all have to in society because it requires us to follow those expectations. But when you're alone, you don't have to identify yourself as that anymore. It's like, nope, I'm not Black anymore. I'm choosing not to identify myself that way now that I'm by myself. When I'm in society, I have to. But now that I am by myself, I have me time. I am me. And that allows you to choose how you identify yourself. And that can only happen when you are alone. Being alone is the greatest fear of many people. Understandably, society has convinced us that if we're alone, we have failed as a member of society, that we must be weird or weak or worthless if we can't have or maintain social groups or friends. But in fact, we are actually alone for the majority of our life, especially from adulthood on. We are. So isn't it important to learn how to be happy and how to be content when we are alone than trying to avoid it like the plague? So back to I am me. You can use this mantra when you are alone to separate who you are or who you will in your true self from all of those stereotypes and expectations. So, I am me. What does that mean? Maybe you don't know. But now you have the freedom to discover that. I'm no longer Black and all the stereotypes that are attached to that. I am me. So I can explore things that the stereotypes and expectations wouldn't allow me to do. I can explore different hobbies and interests, maybe some different food and music, maybe activities, lifestyles that would be seen as not black enough in society, but alone, I say, I am me and give myself the freedom to define who me is. Not society, not expectations, and not stereotypes. So, I am me. I am not a woman anymore when I'm by myself. I am me. Being able to free myself from all those stereotypes and expectations placed upon me for being a woman, being female. Suddenly, when I am me, there's no, you're not feminine enough, or that's not ladylike, or girls aren't into that. That's not a girly thing. That's guys do that. All of that disappears with 3 simple words. I am me. So, when you are alone, great thing to do to get you into the mindset of exploring and discovering your true self. Remember, I am me. That allows you to define who you are, whether you know that or not yet. And say, by saying I am me and separating myself just from the female expectations and stereotypes alone, I discovered that I'm actually really, really good at video games. And I thoroughly enjoy and love playing video games. I would have never discovered that or even allowed myself to discover that, because all I could hear in my head is that's what boys do. That's not what women do. It's unladylike. And I can hear same with my friends, the words of their families, their parents, telling them that's not, boys don't do that. Girls don't do that. You're not allowed to explore these hobbies, interests, sports, skills, or music or anything because of these stereotypes and expectations attached to your sex and gender identity. In society, we have to deal with that every day, not feeling free to be honest and be ourselves, or even be allowed to discover ourselves, because those little voices in our head saying that doesn't fit the stereotype, you're not conforming, is very, very strong and very difficult to break. But one of the key ways to overcome that, and thus overcome loneliness itself, is to discover that when you are alone, only when you are alone, that is the time to discover who you are, what you like, what you are good at, what you are passionate about, without any expectations or stereotypes. And that when you are alone, you are the one putting those expectations on yourself. Nobody else is. Nobody else is around. So in that moment, you can choose to say, you know what? I'm going to treat myself better and say, I don't have to follow those expectations now. And by myself, I am free to discover who I am. And yes, when I meet with the family and my friends, tomorrow, yes, I will have to go back into conform mode, but right now, I am me. And let me discover who that is. So, when you are by yourself, create a mantra that helps you separate yourself from society and all those expectations and stereotypes. You don't have to follow them when you're alone. That's just the greatest thing of all. But for some people, I am me isn't enough, or it doesn't work to help with that separation from expectations. So there's another one that I think helps a lot of people in that moment. Instead of I am me when you were alone, to initiate self-discovery, self-help, and self-care, try I am enough. A lot of expectations and the stereotypes really do heavily beat into us that we're not black enough, white enough, Christian enough, man enough, feminine enough, good enough. And that is heavily drained and heard and impacts our mental health so much we don't even realize this burden we are carrying of these messages in society every day, because we're just doing the grind. We're working, we're providing for our families, we're helping our friends, we're active in the community. We can't process all of this that we've been carrying without realizing it until we are alone. Use being alone as an opportunity to recognize that I am enough. When you're alone, all those stereotypes, expectations are gone. It's not your boss telling you that you're not good enough. It's not your father or your mother, your parents, your grandparents telling you that you're not good enough, or you're not lovable, or you're not man enough. You're not following in their footsteps enough. They're not there right now. You're by yourself. You can prioritize yourself and say, you know what? I am enough. When you're alone, I am enough. And by doing I am enough as your mantra, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone when you're alone. You don't have to prove yourself to your parents, to your tribe, to your friends, to social media, to your boss, because you're by yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You can say, remind yourself, you're alone right now, and you are enough. Try to eliminate this drive to prove yourself, because you can do that when you are by yourself. That's the freedom you have when you are by yourself. So own it, embrace it, and live it. So those are my 2 suggestions for how to actually break free of the societal buzzing that tells us we need to be a certain way, prove ourselves in order to fit in and be a part of a community. We still do that when we're around other people, but when we're by ourselves, we don't have to. So, for me, I use I am me. You can use I am enough, or you can create your own mantra. What works for you to help you free yourself from the burden of those expectations when you are alone? And we need to do that. We need to take this opportunity when we're alone to discover who we are and what we like and what we are good at. I never would have discovered my insanely profitable skill of video games. I'm a professional gamer. If I let the stereotypes and expectations of being a woman swallow me and drown me alive, even when I am alone. Nope. I have the freedom to just be me and discover who that is. So that is your initiating mantra to find out how to actually be alone and be happy, be content, and use being alone as a form of self-care. So this is what I do to overcome loneliness, overcome expectations. So I have my mantra, I am me. I'm not black anymore, I'm not woman anymore, I'm not an atheist anymore, I'm not bisexual anymore. I am me. I separate myself from every identity and demographics to discover who I am as a human being. So now that I feel separated from all of that, I now feel like I have the freedom to discover things I wouldn't have ever even thought to try or were forbidden because of those stereotypes. When I got into video games, I just found that not only was I good at it, but it actually helps my mental health to play video games. It relaxes me, it makes me focused on something that isn't the craziness of real life. And it actually needed video games for my mental health to be okay. And that has changed my life and has improved my life so much because when alone, I allowed myself the freedom to discover maybe all those things that they say women shouldn't do or be interested in. Maybe I might just check it out. Maybe I am. I don't know. A lot of people say certain things are uncool, but maybe I might actually like that. People in society say, oh, you should hate that fashion, you should hate that brand, you should hate that food, you should hate that hobby, you should hate that music. Maybe I actually like that. Maybe I actually could have a passion for it. So again, like let's say you're a guy and you have been raised since birth that you are a man, you're a boy, boys do certain things, you have to be man enough. The way you talk, the way you walk, and everything you do has to be in this stereotype. So say, I am me, I am enough, and say, what are all those things that they have forbid me to explore? Maybe I'm actually good at it. Maybe I actually like it. I can do that when I'm by myself. Discover a new hobby, a new interest. Maybe I'm really good at sewing or cooking. How would I know? I was never given the opportunity to explore that side of myself. How would I know? But being alone, all that other stuff is just noise. And I am choosing, when alone, not to have my life be dictated by that. I am choosing my mental health. I am choosing me and caring about me when I'm alone, because I have the opportunity to fully embrace that and fully do that. So, give yourself the opportunity. Discover who you are, what you like. Sometimes we're taught to hate certain people or things or hobbies, but in society, yeah, we have to go through the rounds and say certain things to fit in and not be eaten alive by the tribe. But alone, we don't have to put that pressure on ourselves anymore. We can choose freedom. Freedom of self, freedom of discovery, freedom of experience, without the noise of expectations and stereotypes. In several sessions of this, of your alone time, discovering I am me and who you are, or recognizing I am enough, and realizing I don't have to prove myself to myself or anyone when I'm alone. I have the freedom to make mistakes. I have the freedom to try something new. Maybe it won't be perfect. I have the freedom not to be perfect. I have the freedom to fail even and still be okay. Because alone I can do everything. I have the freedom to try and explore everything and anything without living up to anybody's expectations, including my own. I need to free myself from that and just allow myself to be. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to live by anybody else's idea of who I should be and how I should live my life. I am alone in this moment, and I can truly embrace who I am and discover who I am and who I can be. And when you do that, something really cool happens. You begin to realize, wow, like for me in gaming, wow, this is actually a lot of fun. I love this. Oh my gosh. And I'm actually good at that. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing video games professionally every day. Wow. I would have never discovered this if I had absorbed and had to take over my identity, what being a woman is. I would have never discovered this about myself and what I was capable of. Never. And now I have not only a great source of income, but a great source of self-care and protecting my mental health. When things get horrible, I can take out that frustration in a video game. when maybe you will discover in your self-exploration, after your mantra, I am me, I am enough, or whatever you decide it to be, that, wow, I really, really love jazz music. I never would have thought I would have had any interest in that, but allowing myself to explore things I was told I shouldn't even try because of my sex, race, ethnicity, religion, whatever, I've really discovered that I really love this kind of stuff. And that it's okay to love and be passionate about this kind of stuff. I can do that when I'm alone. And as you begin to discover yourself, you kind of develop two versions of ourselves. The self that we have been for pretty much our whole lives, the fake conformist self that we needed to be in order to survive in society, in our tribes, in our families, in our support systems. We needed to act and talk and think a certain way just to survive. So that self is still there. And you can reactivate that self when you go back into society and you see your family, friends, and are at work and all that kind of stuff. But now you have another self that is developing. And that is your true self that you discover and strengthen when you are alone. So I actually look forward to my me time now that I've discovered that loneliness really can be overcome when you realize how much freedom there is to be and discover yourself when you're alone. I actually need that balance of alone time with the social time to truly be my full self and to have that full mental health that I needed. I don't get rid of my friends or social connections, no. But when I'm alone, I make sure that I don't tear myself down. People have told me that I should hate myself for being a woman who likes and is good at video games. How dare you go against that stereotype? But I found that several times exploring who I am when I'm alone and allowing myself to develop skills and hobbies and interests when I'm alone, I have much more inner strength and confidence in myself now. So when people say that to me, it's like, okay, I get it. You're out in society. We all are right now, and you need to say that to protect yourself from being hurt by society. But that's a key part of myself now that I discovered, and that I really enjoy it. And it really makes me feel better when life gets me down. Same with listening to music I was told to never listen to, try foods I was told to never ever try, to meet people I was told to never ever associate with, who were just great people. But by overcoming that loneliness and fear of expectations and judgment, when I'm alone, I have a stronger sense of self, confidence, and inner strength that I now defend myself against that. Before, I would say, yes, no, yes, I agree, it's horrible, It's weird. Yeah, I guess I am a freak, huh? Now, after several sessions of I am me, I am enough, let me explore, let me discover, what am I good at? What do I enjoy? It's like that, those words, other people's thoughts, they don't have that same impact on me anymore. I've actually developed an immunity to that because of my sessions being alone and choosing to be free of all of that, because I can be only when I'm alone. So don't look at being alone as something to fear, as a failure, or as something that should be shunned or is sinful. It's not. We are actually alone the vast majority of our life. So let's take the opportunity that being alone gives us to discover ourselves, to be our greatest defenders, our greatest friends to ourselves, our greatest lovers to ourselves, and protect our well-being, peace of mind, and mental health by learning to love being with ourselves, aka being alone. Because what loneliness actually is that you don't enjoy your own company. And by allowing yourself, freeing yourself from those expectations, from those stereotypes, making sure you don't identify by those stereotypes when you are alone, to give yourself the freedom to discover yourself and be yourself. It just takes away the burden of having to be a certain way and prove yourself to others, because you don't have to, not when you're alone. And now that this true self of yours is developing and getting stronger, you will have to find a way to balance the true self and the fake self. But how do we do that? Now that we know how to overcome loneliness and fear of being alone and fear of being rejected when we're by ourselves, but how do we take what we learned when we were alone and use that when we finally have to confront our family and friends and society with these new aspects of ourselves? But don't worry, there is an alternative. And in the next part, we will discover how to take our new and true selves that we have been developing while alone, and how to slowly introduce that that new self to our friends and family, and still maintain those friendships and relationships. That's coming up next in part 4. So stay well, everybody. Again, being alone isn't the end of the world. It's just an opportunity for self-care. I will see you next time. Thank you so much.